Alright, let's kick off and get the elephant out of the room. Cold calling, it isn't dead, it's just simply misunderstood, and in many cases, misused. What people really dislike isn't the call itself, it's the poor execution of the call. Calls that feel random, robotic, aggressive, that create resistance. But that's not what we're going to be doing here. When it's done right, a cold call is an incredibly valuable, relevant touch point that opens doors that the other channels just simply can't. This isn't about scripts or being a slick talker. It's about showing up with purpose, clarity, and earning the attention by sounding like someone who is actually worth speaking to. And the reality is, today is a hyper-automated world. Voice is literally the differentiator. A real human voice delivers emotional context that email and LinkedIn simply can't. You can hear interest, hesitation, urgency, and they can hear your tone, the energy and the confidence that you would bring to a call. And that's the secret sauce. A voice makes you feel real, present and credible. And when done right, a cold call doesn't sound like a pitch. It just sounds like a relevant and respectful conversation. And that's what we're here today to build. So, in today's training, it's going to be more than just tactics. It's about building consistent professional habits that you can count on every time you pick up the phone to dial. By the end of this, you're going to know how to prep with speed and clarity, build and internalize a natural structured call flow, respond to resistance without sounding defensive, and deliver your message in a way that lands, not just speaks. This isn't about acting, it's about aligning how you show up with what makes you worth being listened to. Why does this even matter? Well, look, cold calling remains one of the most high leverage skills in sales. It gives you direct access to your prospects in real time. You get to ask, hear, respond, and adapt to the things they say in seconds. There's no guesswork. There's no inbox limbo. It's just clarity. So when you combine that with a solid tone and energy, you start building trust faster than any email could. And it's a tool that's going to help you create momentum when there is none. And that's why we still invest in it today. Now, let's be honest, everyone's inbox is overflowing, and even the best cold emails often get ignored. Cold calling changes that pattern. It gives your prospects something to react to, your voice, your timing, your intent. It lets you qualify and disqualify in under 2 minutes. You can hear when someone's engaged or just being polite. You can pivot based on tone alone. That insight, you simply just can't get it from written text. And that's why cold calling still drives pipeline, but when done correctly. If you take nothing else from this training, just remember this. How you show up before the call affects everything that happens on the call. Most reps worry about the exact words, but high-performing reps focus on their energy, their clarity, their posture before they even dial. Cold calling is a mental game. That is an absolute fact. The difference between sounding composed and sounding desperate, that starts with your prep, with your mindset, the stories you tell yourself before you hit the call button. So here are 4 habits that can change how you sound and how you're received. Start with visualizing the success. So before each call block, imagine a great call. See it in your head. It's going to calm your nerves and prime your tone. Now this one sounds a bit cheesy, but it's 100% true. Smile before you dial. It's a tiny shift, but has a huge impact. A smile is audible. It warms your voice and the things that you say. Another thing is to reframe rejection. Remember, it's not personal. It's not about you. So don't think they're rejecting me. Think I'm qualifying for fit. And that's going to take the pressure off you. Last but not least, use a mantra. Something short, something powerful, like I help leaders win. You want to say it out loud to yourself. Anchor your confidence. The reality is these aren't fluff. They're part of how top performers literally take control of their delivery. Before we call, we need to do our research. Literally, prospects can instantly tell when a call feels random. So don't be random. And look, you don't need 10 tabs open. You just need one relevant nugget of information. Spend 2 minutes scanning for things like a recent title change, team expansion, a funding announcement, new hires in your target department that you're going after. Then you want to bring that into your opener. For example, I noticed you're hiring 4 new AEs. Usually that brings onboarding challenges. That one sentence shows relevance and effort that I put into that specific person. And often that's all it takes to get their attention. This is an ongoing debate about scripts. Reality is reading from a script word for word can make you sound robotic, but not having a structure, that makes you ramble, freeze, pitch too soon, all things we want to avoid. So instead, build a flow, a clear series of prompts that you can internalize and adapt. You're not memorizing the lines per se, you're preparing the direction of the call. And here's the structure. We always start with an opener, and I'll give you some examples of all of these bits later in this video. We're then going to move on to the hook. Then we're going to open up the conversation with a discovery question. Then once we've got some information, I'm going to present my value points. If needed, I can reframe how I present that value point if they don't quite get it, or push back with an objection. And then we want to go in with a clear close. When you know this, you're not going to panic when your conversation steers and veers in different directions. You know exactly where you are and how to steer it back on track. Now, we always need to warm up. Cold starts kill call quality. If the first few dials of your block feel clunky, it's because your brain and your tone, they're not ready yet. So try these to warm up. Say your opener out loud 3 times. Listen to the tone and rhythm. Keep practicing it. Stand and walk around. It's going to free up breath control. That's going to really show in your tone of voice. Maybe cue up a great call from one of your peers. Here's what good sounds like. And then set a goal, like I want to ask 3 high quality questions, or I want to get 2 bits of qualification information from my prospects. Reality is you're not going to start running without stretching, so you don't want to start a call block without warming up your voice and your mindset. Now, let's go back to that structure. I'm going to give you some lines that you can then tailor into a rough script that you don't want to read word for word, but just get used to saying until you sound confident. And we're going to start with the opener. And one of the easiest ways to do an opener on a cold call is to start with a permission-based. Give them the opportunity to say yes or no. And the opener, look, it sets the tone. It's not about being overly clever, it's about being direct and respectful. So one of my favorites is something like this. Hi, Jordan. This is Matt from Enable IQ. I'll be upfront that this is a cold call, but a well-researched one. Can I just take 30 seconds to explain why I'm calling you? This works because you're giving the prospect control without handing away the wheel. You sound composed, professional, confident, and it earns you time, especially when they say yes. They've said yes to you, now it's time to prove that your call isn't spam. Reference something real. I saw your team just launched onboarding for 4 new AEs. Congrats on the Series A. That usually brings hiring and enabling pressure. Your insight doesn't need to be deep here, it just needs to be specific to them. So make the call feel researched and worth continuing. Next, shift the monologue to dialogue. Ask a real open question, keep it short, keep it open. Some examples would be, how are you onboarding the new hires right now? What's your current ramp process look like your end? Tone matters a lot here. You need to sound curious, not pushy. And this is when the conversation starts to become more two-way. Now they're engaged, offer a short outcome-based value point. Avoid product features. Avoid that completely. What you want to do is offer real results. So for an example, we helped a similar SaaS team cut ramp time by 30% without extra strain on their managers. This is going to make you sound credible, relevant, and worth considering because you're talking about a real problem they face. You're not just pitching your product or service. At some point, you're probably going to face objections on your initial cold calls, and this is where most reps lose their footing, but you are not going to. Remember, objections, they are not personal. They're just reflexes. The key is to not push, but to explore. So when someone says, we're all set, you can say, got it, just so I don't assume you already have something in place for onboarding. Or, I totally get that, but if there was a way to reduce ramp time without overloading your managers, would it be worth a quick look? Keep your tone light, stay calm, stay curious. You're not convincing, you're trying to invite them back into the conversation. Too many cold calls end weakly. Don't just say, I'll send you info. That leaves the door half open and it's usually going to stay that way. Instead, offer something clear and easy to say yes to. Would it make sense to carve out 15 minutes next week to see if this is a fit? I'm free Tuesday or Thursday. Any preference to you? You're going to give them the choice. That's going to make it real. It's going to keep momentum in the call going. When you connect all these 6 parts together with confident tone and relevant insight, your cold call stops feeling awkward. You start feeling structured, human, effective. You don't need to memorize the lines. Remember that. You just need to internalize the rhythm. So start with a permission-based, then come in with some relevance, open the conversation up with a question for curiosity, then demonstrate some value that's relevant to what they've said, handle objections calmly, and then close confidently, but also giving them options. Do that consistently, trust me, you'll stand out at every single call block. And remember, delivery is super, super important. This is where 80% of reps go wrong, even if the words they're saying are great. The way you sound has way more influence than what you actually say. If you sound rushed, you create tension. If you sound robotic, you trigger resistance. But if you sound calm, clear, and confident, you earn attention instantly. And that's why delivery isn't soft, it's a core sales skill. So here are 5 habits to boost delivery on your cold calls. If you want to sound more credible, here's what you need to practice. Remember, smile while speaking. It softens your tone. It's going to add warmth to the words you say. Slow down for the first 5 seconds. Set a confident tone. Pause after key points. This gives your message room to land. Stand and walk improves breath control and posture. Again, it's going to add to the tone of voice. And then say your opener out loud. Rehearse for tone, not just the words you're saying. These small habits lead to big results, and these make the difference between an average and excellent delivery on a cold call. When your delivery is off, this is what your prospects hear. A rushed opener, that feels like pressure. A flat voice sounds like a script. No pauses. This is a one-way monologue, not a conversation. And if you're giving them instant replies, you seem reactive, interruptive, and not thoughtful. Even if your words are perfect, these mistakes will kill your credibility. So fix your delivery and your message will land better every time. On the flip side, you know your delivery, this is what your prospect will feel. You feel prepared, you're not winging it. You're professional, you sound like someone who they can trust. You believe in your message, makes it easier for them to believe in it too. This is how you win respect, even if the meeting doesn't book. That's how you build a reputation call by call. So let's recap the do's for cold calling. Let's lock these in as daily habits. Ask for permission early, because that's going to help you earn trust. Use one personalized insight, because that improves your intent. Lead with curiosity, not the features, and focus on real world outcomes, not your tech stack. Always remember to rehearse your tone and flow. It's how you're going to show up consistently. And here's what to avoid. Don't rush your opener, it screams insecurity. Don't read line by line, because that's going to break the rapport. Don't pitch too early, because it pushes people away. Don't ignore your tone, it is your first impression. Don't end vaguely. Make your close confident and clear. Avoid these, and trust me, you'll immediately sound different than 90% of the reps out there cold calling. This is what modern cold calling is all about. It's not about pressure, it's about your presence. When you combine preparation, structure, tone, and curiosity, you're going to earn attention more often. You build more conversations, you open more doors. And the best reps don't chase perfection, they just chase consistency. So stop stressing about saying the words perfectly. They sound like someone who's worth listening to. And when they call, people will remember. Be the rep, own the calls, and watch what happens to your pipeline. Let's go.